welcome to the Girl Talk Oracle podcast, where we get into all things self-love, healing, leveling up, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Kiera, helping you gain insight and clarity on life's challenges and opportunities. In these conversations, we'll get into the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Hey y'all, welcome to the Girl Talk Oracle podcast. I'm your host, Kiera. So I would just like to introduce myself. I know you saw the intro and everything, but I just still want to introduce myself for those who are new. If you are watching this on YouTube or if you're streaming on whatever podcast streaming platform that this is going to be on, welcome to my podcast. Okay. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about setbacks or comebacks, or setbacks and comebacks. Right now in this moment, y'all, I am in a season of comebacks, okay? I didn't have my setbacks. I didn't have my fair share of setbacks, and I am way past it. And I feel like if you're watching this video, then you're probably tapped into transforming your energy and making a comeback as well. So I am going to cover a couple different things in this entire episode. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. I don't want to talk too much because I do talk too much, which is why I made a podcast because I love to talk, and I feel like why not just share my voice and maybe help uplift others along the way, because I love giving advice to people and I love talking. So um the first thing I will say when it comes to like having a setback is that everyone in life experience things differently. So a setback to you may be different to another person and how they experience a setback. So when you think about things that you have gone through and things that someone else has gone through, you may seem like it didn't phase you or it didn't phase them because you're looking at it from the outside looking in. But in reality, everybody goes through their own things differently. So I just feel like you always have to have like that type of respect and courtesy. Don't feel like, girl, I went through that and I got through it just like this. You don't know what that person has been through. And that's one thing that I will 100% always just like lean towards, is always giving people the benefit of the doubt to tell their story without feeling like I have to be like, well, I didn't experience it that way. That's not how I did it. And that's not how I overcame it. I just feel like sometimes you just got to let people tell their story the way that they seen the story in their eyes, because you're not the person telling that story. You weren't experiencing that portion of their story. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing I think when having like a setback and trying to get yourself back on track to have a comeback is changing your perspective in the way that you view things, not looking at everything as a failure. Because sometimes some things is actually, you know, a setback for a major comeback. And I know y'all have probably heard of those terms all over the world, all over just everywhere. That is like one of the major sayings in the world is a minor setback for a major comeback. And I feel like that is 100% true and valid, because sometimes you experience things that you feel like will be the end all be all for you. And that's just a stepping stone to get you to where you need to be. And yeah, so I feel like when you are having like a sort of setback or something like that, take a step back, reevaluate what you're experiencing, what you're going through. Number one, the first thing you need to consider is, did you cause yourself to have this setback? Is this something that you played a part in? Because it's not going to always be something that somebody else did to you. Sometimes you play a huge part in the things that happen to you, but you are sometimes letting your ego and pride get in the way to the point where you don't allow yourself to see what is really right in front of you, the lessons, the red flags, everything that you were supposed to see, because you were supposed to be trusting you and not an outside source. So that's why you have the setback. So you always have to like take a different perspective on it and see where you played the part, what part you played in it and what part you can play in it now to fix it moving forward. So the biggest thing that I will say about dealing with setbacks and comebacks is, learning to remain optimistic through it all. Like knowing that you will find a way out of it, knowing that you will overcome it, knowing that you will find a solution, that whatever higher power you pray to will find a solution or will present you with an option, or whatever the case, like whatever your situation is, just always remain optimistic that you can figure it out and you will figure it out. And I think I am one to be quote unquote what they call delusional. Girl, I low key am, but I remain optimistic through a lot of stuff. Like I am constantly always preaching to people in myself. And I'm not going to say I don't get doubtful, girl. I get doubtful just like the next person. But I always try to remain optimistic about situations that are out of my control. Like if I am going through something, and this is not if, this is when I was going through, when I was going through ending a relationship after almost a decade, I don't even know how many years it was. It was almost 10 years. And what I experienced at every phase of that literally sucked out a bit of my optimism at a time. The moment that I was watching everything that I had worked for, everything that I have fought for, everything that I have gave my love, time, and dedication to, fumble, crumble, and break down to its core, including me breaking down, literally broke me. Like, I mean, I was so far gone, y'all. Like, I was so far gone. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And I still gotta push through it, push through it. There was days where I couldn't get out the bed. There was days where I barely wanted to eat. There was days where I was barely drinking enough water, you know? But I pushed through it. And I ain't crying today. I'm telling y'all, like I tell myself every time, I ain't gonna cry today, y'all. But I pushed through it. And I was still creating content. I was still pushing out content up until just recently where I took a step back because I had to, get out and get a job. But being realistic, like I got out and I started back working because I had to figure my own shit out. Like I had to get on my own shit because I cannot sit here and manifest and believe like, oh, this is gonna come to me. This is gonna come, and I just continue to sit on my ass and not do anything about it. I got up, got a job, and now I'm figuring it the fuck out. Okay. I'm gonna cuss way more on my podcast than I do on my channel. So please bear with me, please. Because this is just me. Like when I'm doing everything else, I try not to cuss as much. Also, my baby is not here right now, so I can speak freely. But yeah, like you have to remain optimistic when you are going through stuff. Like it really does make a difference in how you feel and how you move and the way that the way that you set your mind up when you are going through the lows is how you will handle it better the next time. But I'm going to tell you this, when you are going through something, each phase of that is going to be different for you. I have went through so many phases of healing, so many phases of feeling through it, so many phases of just like love, hurt, anger, just it's so many phases of healing, especially with like love and dealing with like heartbreak and things like that. There's so many levels of healing those traumas that it doesn't even make sense sometimes. It doesn't add up sometimes. Like one day you'll feel like, man, that F him, F her. I was gonna say the N word, but I'm gonna try not to do that on this podcast. But you'd be like, forget them, F them, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, you're like, I miss them, you know? So you can go from F you, I'm done with you, kick rocks, go on about your business, to I really miss you, with all in the span of a week. Because you like, how I see it is that your mind is like, yeah, fuck them. But your heart and your soul and your body can still call out for them, you know? And this podcast is not about, like, this particular episode is not about heartbreak, but I would like to say, if you are experiencing heartbreak, baby, you have to feel through that shit. It's going to hurt so bad. It is going to hurt so bad. Like when I say hurt, I'm talking about a pain that you have never felt before, a pain that you can't just take away, a pain that you cannot take an Advil and feel like it's gone away, a pain that you cannot drink away. And if you do, you damn near borderline about to become an alcoholic. It's a pain that you cannot just run from because those triggers will still be there if you don't feel through it. And since we are on the subject of heartbreak, just some advice, because the girls who has experienced heartbreak, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I mean when I say, like, it's something that you, like, it's just a feeling you cannot shake it. Like, you can't shake it. And God forbid it's your first heartbreak. Oh, baby, those little high school heartbreaks ain't got nothing on the real world. I'm telling you, it's a different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. And when you don't allow yourself to feel through those things, when you don't allow yourself to be angry, when you don't allow yourself to just process it, and even if it's the worst thought that you have, just process it. Next thing I want to talk about when it comes to like having setbacks or comebacks is prioritizing your self-care. Like taking care of your physical, taking care of your emotional and mental well-being is like one of the most important things that you can do when you are having a setback, which this can push you into that major comeback if you make sure that you are well. And this doesn't always mean spending money and going to get your nails done, feet done, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a part of self care too. But the self care that I am talking about is making sure that you check in with yourself to see how you are feeling. See what progress have you made in the last month. And if you don't see a progress, if you didn't see a progress, then what is it that you can do to change your energy, to shift the way that you are moving? Like what can you do to change that? I feel that when you are learning to love yourself, you will learn more of what you hate about yourself in the process of loving yourself. Because you'll realize, like, I really don't like that about me. You'll look at all your insecurities because you're learning to love them, that you pay attention to your insecurities a little bit more. And I think that that is one of the hardest things that you can experience when going on a self love, quote unquote, self love journey. Girl, we overuse that damn word, and I 100% know I do. But it is a journey. When you are confident in who you are, it allows you to make room for growth. It allows you to make room to be who you are truly at your core. And it doesn't matter what another person says about you. It doesn't matter what people say about you because you know who you truly are and you love yourself for you without approval from other people. And I think that when you are able to be confident in who you are, you're able to set goals for the future, which can contribute to the comeback that you are looking for. When you are confident in yourself, you're able to take up space without feeling guilty about it. And I think from my perspective and the things that I've experienced, I've always not wanted to take up space because I never wanted to be the center of attention. And I'm growing out of that because I realize I'm meant to be the center of attention. And it's like, that's one thing that I will say that I'm super uncomfortable with sometimes is being the center of attention. And God has made it his business to put me in the center of attention all the fucking time. And I have to get comfortable with that. Like I'm constantly always being put in the center of something. And I notice that when I am the center of attention, people praise me for it. And it does feel good. But what feels bad is the people that don't praise you for it. Because you're gonna have haters. You're going to have haters. If you are a star, like if you are like what they call it, the chosen one, you're gonna have haters. And sometimes the people don't even come off as haters in the beginning because they come off as if they support you fully. They love you. They love what you do. They love your message. They love your energy and yada 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 yada. In reality, they're just getting close so they can see how you do it. They really hate the fact that people love you just as much as them. And it's not that they are off or they're not. You could be literally on the same level as this person, and this person could be jealous because they don't want to share that spotlight. But one thing about me, and one thing about you, and what you should do too, because I'm gonna give you this advice. Don't be afraid to share the spotlight because there's enough. It's enough light to go around to everybody. And if you stay in your own lane and you worry about what you have going on, you don't have to worry about the next person. You can celebrate them without feeling like you're downing yourself. Hearing yourself for the comeback from the setback, you have to change your daily habits. Ooh. It sounds so easy, but the shit is so hard. You have to change your daily habits. You have to change your habits. If you're eating food that causes you to feel drained, change what you're eating. If you're sitting on the couch all day, not moving, not stretching, not getting your body flowing, you need to get moving. If you are not liking the way that you dress in this season and you want to come back into a better season and dress better, then you need to change that. If you don't like the way that you do your hair, then you need to change that. If you don't like the way that you're speaking, you can change that because 100% I've changed like 1,000 times, girl. Um, if you don't like the way that you are living your life, you have the power to change that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you have the power to change it. The power is literally in your hands. And of course, like I said, this whole entire episode is about comebacks, setbacks, and comebacks. So it's not going to be easy, and you're going to have setbacks along the way. But it's what you do in order to come back that makes the difference. It's what you do in order to progress that makes the difference. If you continue to complain and not do anything, then you're not going to change. You have to make changes. You have to do something different. You have to be open to doing things different. You have to be open to seeing things in a new way. You have to be open to seeing new perspectives. You cannot just sit here and expect for your life to get better if you're not doing anything to make it better. If you constantly go back to the same people that made you have a setback, the same people that broke your heart, you constantly deal with these people, you constantly deal with family members, toxic people, just dealing with shit that you know you don't deserve. You are not going to have that comeback because you're constantly dealing with those setbacks. You cannot stay in that energy. You have to move forward. You have to push. You have to let yourself evolve into the person that you're meant to be. If you think that you're supposed to be some queen, some influencer, some whatever you want to be, some a public speaker, because I'm thinking about myself. If you think you're supposed to be this type of person, you're not going to be that type of person if you're living in the same mindset that you had 2 years ago. You're not that person. Number one, you're not even that age anymore. If I think about how old I was when I first gave birth to my daughter, because that's when when I had my mindset shift, is when I gave birth. That's when I realized, Kiera, what the fuck are you doing with your life? What are you about to do with your life? And you know what I did a year later after I gave birth? I started my YouTube channel. Did I start off being a spokes channel? No. Did I start off giving advice? No. Did I start off reading tarot? No. I started off with a beauty channel, and I don't even want to fucking do makeup on camera anymore. I can't stand it, if you want to be honest. I literally do not like filming makeup on camera unless I'm doing like a chit chat video where I'm talking, because it's just not for me. So in that moment of me becoming a mom, and I'm not saying go out and have no kids, girl. That is not what I'm promoting on this channel. But when I became a mom, I literally shifted my entire mindset, because I'm not only thinking about myself, I'm thinking about my baby. I'm not only living for myself, I am living for my baby. Until she's able to provide and live for herself, I am what she has right now. So I have to make sure that our lives is on the right track. And that's the mindset shift that I use to motivate me to never give up. Now, like I said, the setbacks in between these 5 years has been hell, literally. But what I will say is, I get knocked down and I may be down for a while, but I'm going to get my ass back up and I'm going to keep pushing. And that's the advice that I want to give to you. If you're not changing what you're doing, you're going to continue to experience the same things that you did. And if you don't want to believe that, then continue doing it and wonder why you're in that same karmic cycle. If you constantly go back to that same ex that is your karmic partner, you're going to stay in the cycle. You're going to keep reliving it. You're going to keep experiencing it, because guess what? You did not learn the lesson. So the next thing I want to talk about is like basically releasing and letting go of the past. Because now that you have transformed your energy, now that you have, acknowledged and changed your perspective, now that you have, learned to love yourself and, pick yourself up and remain optimistic through setbacks, how can you release and let go of the past? Because the past is going to cling on as long as you hold on to it. As long as you constantly keep going back there, it's going to stay back there. But if you constantly move forward and you don't think about it, there's nothing to look back to, right? So you have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. You have to allow yourself to put it in the past. But I will say this, and this is some word of advice for anybody that's listening and needs to hear right now. If that past can't stay in the past, it's because it's not the past and it's still triggering you because you're still bothered by it and you have not healed from it. You have not healed from it. The past is not the past if you cannot let it go, if you still are broken by it, and if you are still allowing it to mess with you. Thank you for tuning in to the Girl Talk Oracle podcast. I'm your host, Kiera. Make sure you head over to our Instagram at the Girl Talk Oracle, where you can keep up with the latest conversations for each episode. There is a dedicated post with questions that you can answer along to. So make sure you check it out over on our Instagram. Again, that is at the Girl Talk Oracle, and I will catch y'all in another episode.